Hey, welcome back to Night Owl Movie Talk, keeping you up on all the latest movie news, or at least the stuff I want to talk about. And this time I want to talk about The Last of Us. Season 1 just wrapped up, so we can talk about the finale, we can talk about the show, its impact, etc. This is nothing but spoiler-filled, so if you're a person who doesn't want spoilers, sorry. If you're a person who's like, I'm never going to watch the dumb zombie show, so just tell me all about it or whatever, then this is for you. Otherwise, I recommend you check it out. It's a definite show to see. The reason I ended up originally tuning in to check it out is it didn't sound like anything I wanted to see. I've seen so much zombie stuff. You know, I'm a fan of all the original old George Romero stuff, and then I've seen a lot of the influential things that have come after Return of the Living Dead and Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead and a bunch of other things. So, more zombie content wasn't anything I really needed. I thought The Walking Dead kind of said everything a zombie TV show needed to. People tell me I need to see Kingdom. I'll see Kingdom. I'm sorry. The show itself, I didn't even watch for the first, I think 4 episodes. Week to week is hard for me right now. As I understand, that's where the television landscape is going to be headed from now on. The shows or channels like Netflix and Disney Plus have realized that when you completely drop an entire series out for everybody to binge, then they're just done with it. But if you put them on week to week, if you make it stretch out over 2 months, then that's 2 months of membership subscriptions and everything. So getting rid of the binge model is, as I understand it, is a thing that people are going to be trying to do. So week to week is I'm going to have to just get used to it. But I had no interest in doing this week to week. I'd already done Walking Dead week to week. I'd already done Game of Thrones week to week, and I'm just kind of washed my hands of it. I'd rather watch even the whole series if it's done. Like I don't even like being left on cliffhangers. But people were really hyping up this show. It got to the point where I couldn't even turn on like my morning sports talk radio stuff, and they're like, "Did you see The Last of Us last night?" And I'm like, "Oh God." So, I tuned in and I binged, like I say, the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then I watched it week to week, and I thought it was 10 episodes, and for some reason it ends on 9. That was weird. I don't even know the pacing for that. I guess like the first act was probably like the first 2 episodes, and the last act was probably like the last 2 episodes, maybe 3, I don't know. But yeah, the pacing is very strange with the show. We'll get to that. The show itself is based on a video game. I had never played it. I kind of like the new modern games that are basically like you watch a movie and then it used to be you would play a game and then a cutscene would come up and you would just sit and watch. Now it's like you sit and watch the cutscenes and then the game pops up and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm playing a game. So a lot of these games are made for people who can watch them online. So I'm sure I'll get to watching this game because I enjoyed the show so much. Like I hear it's very controversial, especially the second game that follows up The Last of Us. So at some point, I'll have PewDiePie play it, and I'll let you guys know what I saw. But until then, that's probably all there's going to be to hold me over. The show itself, like I said, I wasn't interested in a zombie movie show thing anymore. It's like it's getting attached to people and then watching them die a slow death is like not anything fun. So, or actually, I should say a fast death. But too many characters on The Walking Dead passed away that I eventually just got to the point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. So The Last of Us, especially when I saw it had a kid and a dude, I was like, well, it seems to me it'll be the same type of thing as Walking Dead, the parental dynamic, and then, they'll meet somebody and we'll learn to like them just long enough for them to end up getting killed and we'll be like, they got us again. But like I was saying, I didn't play the game, so I don't know anything about the game. So if you're a big game person, I remember when The Walking Dead came out, there was the comic book contingent and there was the show people. And the show people had to hear from the comic book people like all the time, like, oh yeah, it's totally different. You don't even know, like, oh, they're changing it for the show. They're doing it wrong or whatever. It's like, no, it's intended to be 2 separate universes so the comic books could still make money. It wouldn't be ruined by the show, right? So the curiosity of this for a lot of the people who played the game was going to be like, how much are they going to deviate from the game itself to try to make the show a separate property that, one won't spoil the other. But the game itself, or the show itself, has a bunch of video game themes in it. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed about it. Not since Adam Sandler being chased by a damn Pac-Man have I seen such awesome video game themes in a show without overdoing it. At one point somebody takes off a backpack and they go through it and it's like flashlight, hatchet. Yeah, video game stuff. Like for the first 3 episodes of the show, I think in the game I heard that there was supposed to be like some sort of gun smuggling or gun trade going on or whatever. But for the show, they turned it into find a car battery for a car that won't start. All right. You ever played that game? Yeah, me too. You get in the car, it won't start. You get out, you walk over to the hood, you pop the hood, a little circle with the green triangle button pops up on it. You press the button, and it says, battery's gone. And then the guy just frantically runs around, and you got to go find the battery. Objective, find car battery. And there's a part where like one of the characters gets sick on the show, and then they end up like someone hasn't. Well, we've already discussed that there's gonna be plenty of spoilers. Okay, so just at this point, if you're worried about spoilers, just take off. But otherwise, yeah, here you go. Anyways, so at one point, Joel gets injured, the main character, Pedro Pascal, and he's injured and out of the show, and the little girl has to go find medicine. It's like, so she gets some penicillin. I was expecting it to just be like a bottle with like a white label with a red cross on it. Medicine. But overall, I liked that the show maintained video game themes without overdoing it. Like, remember when I said to press the little green button above their head to get dialogue? A bad show would put the green button there. But this knows not to. It knows just to give you enough where it's like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm on a video game. Like there's a first-person shooter scene in the 9th episode. The finale has like a Doom scene. And that's extra video gamey too. It's hilarious. Where he's going down the hallway and he's shooting the various people, the shadows, and reaching around the corners and shooting. And as his bullets are running out and as he's getting opportunities to pick up better guns, so it's like he starts off with a rifle, but by the 3rd floor he's got a machine gun. It's like, what? Nobody has flamethrowers in this hospital? So the overall game world being represented in the show was cool. Getting on to the actual show and the body of it. A lot of controversy came from the show because it's got a lot of LGBTQ stuff in it, whatever, the alphabet. So right away, there's a few stories up front that deal with like heterosexual relationships, and they're just glossed over. Like we never find out what happened to Joel's wife or whatever, the mother of his child. We never find out any of that stuff. He's in a relationship with this woman, Tess. We never find out how they meet. But then there's a sub-story that I believe is also from the game about a gay love story of 2 survivalists and their, adventure. And it just deviates from the whole thing. Like episode 3 is just about them. What's his name? Nick Offerman. And he's fantastic. It's excellent TV. I wouldn't be surprised if next year it's nominated for whatever. But it shocked a lot of people, which surprised me because they know HBO's the channel that had Game of Thrones. It's like, these people are going to show you dicks. You think they're going to be afraid to show you a gay love story? Like, get over it. Also, because of the success of Euphoria, I think that was probably one of the selling points. Like HBO knew, like, we can do some interesting stuff with these stories that other, channels can't do because of what we're allowed to get away with because we're HBO, right? So, but that, because of the culture war, that's what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It's like, I'm trying to watch a peaceful zombie show, and now I got to think about how gay people fall in love too. It really bums me out. So that was kind of like I said, the sports talk radio shows were all in a huff, and everybody was talking about like, oh, why do they got to constantly bring the culture war into everything? And that's, all press is good press. So, but the other thing is then later on in the show, like somewhere around episode 7, maybe, I don't know, whatever, they show where one of the main characters falls in love with her girlfriend. So they show big long episodes of 2 love stories over the course of 9 shows, and they're both gay stories. So people right away are going to be like, well, this isn't indicative of whatever, blah, 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 culture war, nah, nah, nah. But that was all in the game. And like I say, I think that's probably why HBO bought it, because it fits into their overall scheme, or at least their overall scheme at the time they bought it. Because now HBO is under new ownership, and it's a more conservative ownership. And that's one of the questions I have about this show is, will they start making those changes like they did with The Walking Dead regarding some of the more controversial stuff? Like, will they start pulling back on some of these things, they always blame it on the Midwest. Like, the Midwest doesn't want that. It's like, don't have anything to do with the Midwest. It's just some people, it's just not what they're looking for when they're looking for a zombie show, and they're caught off guard by it, and then they're all mad. But the thing is, this isn't a zombie show. Well, on two levels. One, this isn't a zombie show because they were very smart. They did the thing that most people who make shows like this should do, where you take a thing and you make it your own. One of the reasons I love From Dusk Till Dawn so much is because it's about a vampire movie, but they explain some stuff like the mushy chest. That's why it's easier to put a spike through a vampire's chest than it would be to put a spike through a normal person's chest. Not that I've ever tried. Um, but the adding to the lore or making your own subsection of your thing, you know what I mean? What vampires, werewolves, and zombies are all things trying to bite you that turn you into them. You know what I mean? The lore, what you do with it yourself, is what makes it interesting. So they knew zombie fatigue had set in when they made this show, and or when they made the game, and then later the show. Zombie fatigue helps a lot. Then the show has reanimated dead people, but they're being controlled by mushrooms, and it's all kind of like a nature striking back kind of thing, like the birds. Like one day we woke up and the mushrooms were pissed, you know. So I don't know why anybody would be surprised at that. Have you ever played Mario Brothers? Mushrooms can be an asshole. So the other way that this isn't a zombie show, besides the fact you can always be like, actually, it's a mushroom show. It's not a zombie show because the whole show is a setup. All right. Basically, someone in a philosophy class somewhere came up with a really clever idea for a moral conundrum. And they were like, what's popular right now? Zombies. Okay, we'll figure out a way to alter it to make it our own. And then we'll tell a zombie story and we'll give them all the beats of a zombie story to, kind of pull them in. Because that's what I noticed right away. Stuff that on The Walking Dead would be an entire season is like, two episodes here. We meet the cannibals, and they're have kind of a weird religious leadership. By the way, Rainn Wilson, remember him from The Office? I think whatever. Rainn Wilson is like, he had the most awesome take on this. He's like, why are all these zombie shows so mean to the Christians? And they're like, oh, are you like, born again Christian? You're mad about it or whatever? He's like, no, I'm not Christian at all. It's just most of the Christian people I know aren't really like trying to overthrow the world. And a lot of them are missionaries and handing out food and stuff. They're not like evil plotters. So I don't know why you're always like picking on them in every one of these zombie shows. So it's like somehow Rainn Wilson dug his way into this Last of Us discussion. But as I was saying, the show takes things that would take an entire season on The Walking Dead, and it just gives it to you like real quick. We got to help this dude and his brother get through out of the city, and we're going to see what's going on in Missouri. It's like, yeah, Missouri's an episode. On Walking Dead, Missouri would be a season and a half. So they're giving you all the beats of this zombie show, and then what happens is they get to the point where we're taking the chosen child to the people who can maybe cure everyone. This child who gets bit and can't get infected, somehow we can take her antibodies or whatever, or science stuff, and we're going to try to turn her into a cure. And then the show's final episode, the guy realizes they're going to cut her brain open and take all the like mushrooms out of the brain and stuff, and that's how they're going to get the tissues to make the sample to make the cure. So since this character has already lost a daughter, he's put in a position where he doesn't want to lose another daughter, and he goes on a killing rampage to free the little girl who was maybe going to cure this disease and free all of humanity from the zombie apocalypse. As I'm watching it, I'm kind of like, wait a minute. Like, yeah, it makes sense that the dad would go rescue the little girl. Like, of course, it's not his daughter, but it's his new surrogate daughter, and he's suffered loss, and he's not going to suffer loss again. So from a traditional storytelling standpoint, yeah, we've seen this before. Father rescue daughter. It's Commando. I saw Commando. Arnold Schwarzenegger's great in it. But when this dude goes on this rampage to get his daughter back, and he kills all these doctors who are technically good guys, they're getting ready to try to cure the zombie plague. But really, this is also similar to that station that they have in Day of the Dead, where they're really just living underground and there's like a, authority thing and all that, whatever. So they're going to kill this little girl, and he goes off and kills them and then kidnaps his surrogate daughter back and escapes. And then she's like, if you murdered them, would you tell me? And he's like, of course I would. And no, I didn't. So the show ends with her knowing he's a liar, but also having to understand that he's lying to her because he rescued her, but he also undermined her because she wanted to give herself to society. She's basically a Christ-like figure. She's going to sacrifice herself so everyone else can live, right? So imagine if at the last second somebody ran in and undermined Christ's sacrifice, just scooped him up and ran his sandaled ass out to the desert. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what happened here. Wait a minute, you're not allowed to do this. You've undermined the story, Joel. And that's what you're left to feel with. Like, on one hand, it's, it's like I say, a philosophical conundrum. Would you sacrifice your child to save everyone? The same thing happens in Storm of the Century. I think it maybe happens in Knock at the Cabin. I haven't seen that yet, but it looks like Storm of the Century. But Storm of the Century is a Stephen King story where, like, basically the devil shows up in a small town during a big storm and says, you know what, I'm going to keep this storm going. I'm going to keep everybody dying unless you sacrifice one of your children to me. I'll let you guys pick out which child it is, and I'll be back. Right? So then they're left to argue over whose life is worth what, and why should we let him dictate what we're going to do, and maybe would it be better if we all die if we were willing to sacrifice our humanity to give up one, and philosophical debate. And that's what this show gives you as its ending, and that's how it ends. And because HBO's under new ownership and they weren't sure if this is going to be a show that was going to continue, it's going to be like a year and a half, maybe 2 years before there's a follow-up to what we just saw. And there's some question of maybe, like, it's better to just not make anymore. Just leave this as a piece of art that makes you think. Because season 2 apparently gets into some, more characters die and other stuff that I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But like I say, I'll probably watch it on a video game or something. But people were very unhappy with the second addition to the video game. And if they do that in the second season, I think people are going to be pissed. And I don't know. But what I do know is I liked this show a lot. I would recommend it. It's the type of thing I will probably watch again at some point, although I still stand by my statement that season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead are a much better television show than the entire, first season of this. But after a while, Walking Dead just starts spinning its wheels, and this never does that. So if you're a fan of the show, be sure to put in the comments what you liked about it. If you disagree that it's a zombie show and it's a mushroom show, start saying it's a mushroom show. Damn it. Put that in the comments. While you're scrolling past the comments, bump the like button. Please do. Don't smash it. I don't want you to hurt your device. But other than that, you take it easy, and I'll catch you later.